Now, let's come back to questions. We would encourage people to still type questions in the chat box, and otherwise raise your hands also. We'll come back to you. We already do have a few questions, so I'm going to ask them. So the first question actually that we have is for Sister Suntri from Thailand, from Sister Karin, and she's asking, she says that Thailand is an amazing example of what organized home workers can achieve. How do you address the challenges and gaps you are describing? So, Sister Suntri?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to tell you that it's not easy to overcome that challenge, but I think because it's a long years already that we have this act, and we have the mechanism of the committee that I told you before. 3 of the representatives from home workers are there, so I think it's a way to use that mechanism to raise the do the evaluation of the implementation of this act. I will submit this to the committee to evaluate, because long term of implementation already we ought to do evaluation and try to fix the challenges that we found during the implementation of this act. And if we still have time, we also have a Thai representative in this act. I mean, in the committee as well, no? Nutnapa, our home workers, and also Punsap be as well if they have anything to add.
We do have 2 minutes and a very important question also. So Sister Punsap or any of our sisters and brothers from Thailand would like to add to what Sister Suntri's mentioned? Punsap is here. Sister Punsap?
Yeah. I think I give time to others now, because in fact it's very interesting, but in terms of the context, home worker in Thailand, right now the number are reducing, and there are many issues like the government at present, they also try to move to protect the rights of informal worker, not specific only on home worker, but it's still a debate, no? The debate is still going on.
All right. Okay, then let me go to the next question. And this is for Sister Willie, is from Kabuye Agnes. And it says, how can you begin the process of demanding for ratification by our governments? And which workers aren't catered for by the convention? And how best can they be included? Thank you. So it's a process question. How do you begin the process on demanding for ratification?
What we have started, thank you, January. What we have started not only from the government, we have started as an initial commencement for the trade union, from the workers and the National Statistical Institution of Indian and the work inspection in coordinated works, and together we have attended the ministry, and we propose to establish the commission which will be working for the advocating the convention of the 177. It is not exactly with the ministry, but initially we have been establishing the contacts with the those institutions that I have just mentioned, And also this work, this work was been involved in the institution, which is scientific research institution that took 2 years to work and coordinate with them. That's what I can say.
Right. Sister Manali, from a union's perspective, because that's what the union does, that, how do you begin the process of demanding for a convention from the government? So do you have any suggestions? Because this is a question from Africa, and they've not really done advocacy work around it. So do you have any additional suggestions on it?
So I think it's a very slow process. So we start at the local level, create awareness amongst our members, and then we just discuss with them that what do we want from the government and make the demand, and then we take up this issue at the state level and then at the national level. So this is how we take up the issue. Sometimes we write to the, sometimes we write to the, it's a different, many strategies, like we do many convention on this issue. We organize tripartite meeting at the state level and also at the national level, so that most in the government people don't know about this issue. So at least they should know, and then sometimes they're ready to help, but they don't know the issue. So we have to give them suggestions, and if the person is good, and then they help us. So I think we should document some these things, Janvi Ben, so that people should get an idea.
Sure, that's an excellent idea. Strategies for advocacy and the process. Meanwhile, we still have some additional questions and we're running out of time. So I am going to go straight to that. Leila ji, there are questions for you. Sister Karan says, excellent achievements in Pakistan. Congratulations. And you've mentioned that there is no appetite to ratify C177. Why not? And this is also a question which has come from Dinusha ji from Sri Lanka. And he's also asking, why are governments so resistant to ratify ILO Convention 177? Also, I think Sister Punsap has asked if the act that you have, does it cover both the categories of home-based workers or not? Over to you.
So the last question first. Yes, it covers both the categories of workers, the piece rate workers and the own account workers. So that was a debatable issue in Punjab also, which took a lot of time. But other provinces, they have taken up the own account workers and the piece rate workers. So that's there. So now coming to the Karen's question, the appetite is very weak, and that's because of the political processes. As I have already shared, it needs to be debated more, because Pakistan is it has heavily ratified ILO conventions, around 34. And with 3 new conventions are coming up, which talks about the maternity benefits and the occupational health and safety. So that's the scenario, and the Pakistan rate of response earlier, I can say 15 years back, it was not very good. The indicators were very poor and the reporting mechanism was very weak. So government was, obviously they feel very threatened when they have to report and things like that. But at that time, the government was very much concerned about ratifying more conventions. Now that past, when we have it's 15 years later, the government has taken up these things of reporting on a regular basis, following up on the indicators and taking up the decent work agendas, and that is there. But when it comes to the informality, there are certain concerns within the bureaucracy, administrative, within the parliament, where the consensus needs to be built on again. So the earlier momentum when the People's Party government was there, because it's a pro-people party at the federal level, the consensus was to have the national policy first and then go for the ratification. Now we are planning to have this whole campaign starting again October onwards to go for this because we have 4 legislations to start our advocacy for national level policy and then for the ratification. So there are some steps that we have taken over past 3 years with the federal government again, when we had 3 legislations there within Pakistan and the 4th coming up this year. Ministry of Law and Parliamentary Affairs and Human Rights and Ministry of OPHRD, which is Overseas Employment, which is taking care of the labor. So they are now under discussion to have the national policy, because the challenges that we are facing with regard to having a uniformity in the social protection, minimum wages, complaint mechanisms, and uniform registration process to get the data from the ground. So these are the issues that we have already taken up with the Ministry of Human Rights and OPHRD. So we are hoping that we'll receive a positive response from there. So once we have the national policy, we'll eventually and gradually move towards the ratification of 177, because with 177, it's not just 177, it's 189 and 190. So the government, they have their inclination towards 189, which is domestic workers, and 190. So 177 comes in between. So we are, inshallah, starting this after October onwards, once we hear from the national government.
All right, thanks a lot,
I hope
Sister
I have
Leila.
answered.
So yes, we're going in a little different direction in Pakistan. So we start at province level, which is a state level. Then you're talking about national policy, and then push for a convention. So let's hope that you guys can advocate for it, and we of course are there from all across the world to support you in your advocacy efforts. Unfortunately, we'll have to close the Q&A session, but keep sending your questions. This has to be a continuous engagement, but we should summarize today's webinar because such important discussions have happened, and we need to have a way forward also from it. So I'd like to invite Sister Manali Shah to summarize today's discussion. A lot of you know her, but she is the Vice President of HomeNet International and also the National Secretary of SEWA in India. She has vast experience in organizing and advocacy at national and international level. So a lot of your questions that you have about how do you do this advocacy, she's the right person, an expert amongst us on that. And Manali Ben also serves on many committees, including the council member of ITUC Asia Pacific and Women's Committee member on the global seat of ITUC. So over to you, Manali Ben, to summarize this very important discussion that we've had today.
So thank you, Janvi Ben, and thank you all for this rich discussion on ILO Convention 177, which is at the heart of HomeNet International and SEWA's work. We had extremely interesting sharing done by our sisters from Thailand, Pakistan, Chile, and Bulgaria, and also my sister Renana Ben for sharing the history of C177.
Yes,
I know that there are many more cases that we could have shared, but due to limitation of time, we could not. I promise that such cases, HomeNet International will collect from all of you and put it on the website. And also I found Pakistan case is very interesting. We learn a lot from them. So we should document that also, Janvi Ben. So going forward, some of the suggestions we have are, one is continue our dialogue on ILO Convention 177 at national level, regional level, and at the global level, and at province level, which we learn from the Pakistan case. Secondly, let us work together to work on campaign on ratification of ILO Convention 177. Though ratification is our first priority, each country can work on the formation of guidelines or policies for the home-based workers. It may be at the province or country level. This will be the greatest tribute to SEVA's founder, Ilaban, who had given the name and status of worker to home-based workers and started the entire movement for validation of their work and a convention for them. It has been exactly 27 years since ILO Convention 177 was adopted. Since then, the home-based workers have increased manifold, and the home-based work has become a norm across many sectors. If not now, then when? So we need to join our hands together and work in a campaign mode to ensure that our country's governments ratify the convention and have policies and legislation for the home-based workers. For that, HomeNet International will launch a campaign on 20th October this year, which is also the Home-Based Workers Day. We urge all our affiliates, trade unions, and sister organizations to join hands with us in this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Manali Ben, for summarizing and actually giving us a way forward. So very important that the launch of a campaign on 20th October this year for a ratification of Convention 177, which is a tough task for us. And second part, Manali Ben talked about documenting some of the practices, some of the cases. We will continue to do that. And the third was about advocacy strategies. How do we really advocate for it? So maybe documentation, but we can discuss it amongst our leaders, or do we have a webinar like this on sharing of advocacy? So, or, have a combination of both. So we will take this back and as a way forward for us to work on. And to end this session, I would like to invite Sister Jemima Nyokongo to provide vote of thanks. Jemima Nyokongo is the treasurer for HomeNet International, and she also holds the position of organizing secretary to Rachonyo Women's Group, which is an affiliate of HomeNet Kenya. And Jemima is also the chairperson for HomeNet Kenya. And she's an excellent organizer, which I've seen in person. So Jemima, over to you to provide the vote of thanks.
Thank you. I'm a very proud home-based worker today. And I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have made this webinar possible. It's so interesting to learn and get to really understand when there's discussions around ILO conventions. So thank you so much to the people who thought about this and made it possible. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all my home-based workers and sisters and brothers, HomeNet International affiliates, the sister organizations and allies who attended today's webinar, advocating for ILO Convention C177, the Homework Convention. I want to especially thank all panelists who spoke today and shared their history and their experiences and inspiring messages that were shared during the webinar. My warm regards to all those who provided support for this webinar, the HomeNet International Executive Committee, the regional coordinators, the HomeNet International Secretariat, and all the interpreters. And I would also like to acknowledge the supporters who joined us today. We really appreciate you being here and hope to work with you in the future on advocating for the ratification of ILO C177, as well as around other topics, always with the objective of improving the lives of home-based workers across the world. Let's all share what we've learned today. Take it home with us and continue our work of advocating for ratification of ILO Convention 177 in our home countries. We are home-based workers. We need to be recognized and protected. And ILO Convention 177 is our right. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. And if possible, please switch on your videos. We'd like to take a beautiful photograph of everyone who's joined. Thank you everyone. We're taking photos.
Hi, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.